Good morning, everyone. Um, Beautiful Monday, start to the week. I am Dr. Evelyn Mosley, and I am here to present your Monday Mind Body Moment. If you haven't joined me before, just a quick background. I am a doctor of chiropractic. I practice in El Granada, California, in the Bay Area. And I specialize in helping patients with nervous system health, which is really the tissue system that is our physical connection between our mind and body. And through chiropractic adjustments, I help people connect to their nervous system, optimize their health, and really help their body function the way that it is designed to do when it is as healthy as it can be. So I do really help people with stress and how they hold their tension and stress in their tissues and things like that. So that is the perspective that I'm bringing and coming to you with. Okay, and then the Mind Body Moment has just been a short live that I've been producing kind of as weekly as I've been able to, just to help bring awareness and create some opportunities for connection between our body and our mind, and some examples of how the two work in harmony, and some of the things you can do to practice creating more of this connection. So I hope that you are well this morning and that we are ready to dive in on another exploration of our mind and body. Just taking a settling breath here. So today I wanted to talk about authentic movement. And this is something that, I don't know, depending on your background, you may or may not have a lot of experience with. And it's actually a funny story. The first time I was introduced to this concept of just authentic movement, I was in a very interesting situation. One of my aunt's friends had gotten a Groupon to an like a pole dancing studio. So I got invited along. I don't know how. I was like maybe 16, and my aunts and her friends are all like in their 40s, and um, but the woman that was teaching at the studio was saying, this is just such a beautiful place because we get to move our bodies in sensual and feminine ways that we wouldn't get to at the normal gym. And I had never really thought about how I, as a woman, don't move authentically throughout my life at times because I don't want to appear, too sensual, or, it's inappropriate to move that way at different times. So that was the first time I was introduced to that concept of, wow, I might not be moving in a way that my body naturally would love to, because I'm concerned or because I am worried about what kind of body language I'm putting out there. So then I didn't really give it a ton of thought, besides maybe taking a few more time at home to stretch in the ways that felt really good, like that, in private, so that I could, really access those parts of my body. And then, I go along my life and I enter chiropractic school, and I learn about the innate intelligence of the body and how our body really knows how to heal itself, and how when we have disconnects between, if we get too in our educated mind, we we can sort of block some of the signals that are coming in from our innate mind. And our innate mind will tell us, if we have a tight muscle, it knows how to move in order to help that muscle release. It's not like we have to know all of our own internal anatomy in order to move in a way that's going to make us feel great or help us release whatever tension it is that we're holding. So that got me kind of thinking about, oh yeah, like there is this thing of authentic movement. So then on a scientific level, I learned the science behind authentic movement, and I learned about our sixth sense, which I love to call it, which is called proprioception. Have you guys ever heard of this? We think about our five senses, right? And we learned them, in elementary school, where, touch, smell, taste, seeing, and, hearing, right? Our five senses. So we have another one, which is called proprioception. And this is our sense of where we are in space. Wow, right? You never really think about that, but if you are, when we have our posture, we know that we are standing tall. We know when we lift our arm that our arm is now above our head in relation to where it was before. We know that if we want to touch a button on the computer, that we have to go forward, right? And people who have alterations or disconnects in their proprioception, in their nervous system, have altered proprioception. They are not as coordinated. They don't know where they are in space. And so very interesting. And I actually have a cheerleading and dance background. So I used my body to move and know. I had to do choreography that was at a time where I had to be in sync with my whole team, and I had to know where my body was in space. And I really didn't think about it until chiropractic school, where I had a word to describe it, like, oh yeah, that's why when you said like straighten your arm, and some girls didn't realize that their arms weren't straight, it's like this disconnect between where our proprioception, right? So interesting. That's a little bit of the science behind authentic movement, or just our movement in general. So our joints give us that information, and our tendons and our muscles give us that information, and it can be a little bit off. So something to play with, something to explore, that our nervous system health really helps us move authentically as well. Okay, so back to the main thing. The main thing is this innate knowing of how we want to move and what's going to feel good, right? I get this with patients all the time, that as we're progressing through their care, at first I say, okay, what have you been doing to help you relieve whatever symptoms you are having? And they'll be like, oh, I've been doing the basic stretches, or I watched this video online and about how to stretch shoulders, and I've been doing that activity. And I'm like, okay, great. And then as we progress through their care and they start to get more connected to their innate voice, and they start to hear that innate voice, they'll come in and be like, I just really wanted to like hang on this thing and put my other leg out and do this crazy thing. and and that felt way better. And I'm like, great, right? That's one of the signs that I look for, when I'm noticing someone healing, the signs that they are getting connected into whatever it is that's causing this tension pattern for them, is that they are coming up with creative ways to move their body to help them move along through whatever tension pattern is happening. So that's one example, and you can try it right now. and we did this last week, we did just kind of a general body scan of all of our body, of where we were holding tension. And that might be a great place for you to start if you're not really sure where you're holding your tension. But then today we're going to talk about, how to release some of that tension. And honestly, there's no rules on how to move. If you really are in tune with your innate intelligence, your body is not going to tell you to hurt yourself. Um, you're the most oftentimes that we hurt or injure ourselves are when we are ignoring the signs of our body, and we mentally push past what our body is telling us it would prefer us to do. So we can take a minute and just stretch out. And you can ask yourself really simple questions. Okay, so let's start with this activity. And this can be applied to everything, but we'll apply it to movement just to start. Okay, so say something that is very true for you. The truest that it can be. My name is Evelyn. That has been true my whole life. I resonate with my name. I feel connected to my name. I feel like I'm Evelyn. Yours can be something else. I love my partner. I love my parents. I love whatever it is that you love, right? Something very true that's going to ignite a feeling in your heart. Okay? So say it 3 or 4 times and see where in your body you feel that truth. So for me, it's generally like heart space. Some people will feel it in the back of their eyes, like a little welling. Some people feel it just in their gut. They know. So like, my name is Evelyn. My name is Evelyn. My name is Evelyn. And it's like a warmth right here for me. Okay, now say something that is a lie. That is not true for you. My name is Bob. My name is Bob. My name is Bob. Right? Okay. So that feels completely different. And you can tap into this. This takes practice, but it's just a fun place to start noticing where you're feeling it. Okay, so now we can apply this experiment to our body, right? When I raise my arms up and I ask myself, does my body want to stretch this way, this way, this way? Am I getting that yes feeling? Not really. My body like to stretch this way, this way, this way. Yeah. Yeah, my body likes to stretch that way. So that's one way you can kind of test and play around with authentic movement. Another way is just to move. So as many of you know who have been tuning in, I am officially in my 9th month of pregnancy. I am not going to be dancing around for you guys on this live video as much as I love y'all. That is just a whole nother level of vulnerability / not something lovely that you would like to see. But I highly recommend just putting on some music that you love, being completely alone in your space, in your house or apartment or room or whatever space that you have to call your own, and just letting yourself dance weirdly, and start by being small and contained and maybe how you would dance if you were in public, and then really let yourself engage all of your limbs and try all different directions and different depths. Start high, go down low, from side to side, And some things that could maybe inspire you are looking at different dancers on Instagram or different dancers online that practice a bit more of a contemporary style where they're kind of just free dancing. Um, and just watching how they move and how that feels authentic to them, and then trying out some of those moves and seeing how that feels to you, and try to be ridiculous and see how it feels. We don't give ourselves enough opportunity sometimes to be ridiculous with how how we're moving, or we think we're being ridiculous, so we don't allow ourselves to move in that way. And or we have self-imposed limits, like in my story at the very beginning, where oh, that's too sensual, or that's too sexy, that's inappropriate movement for this public space. But when you're at home, there is no such thing as inappropriate movement for that public space, because you're just with yourself. And so you can help yourself get past your own imposed limits on that movement and really stretch. And I highly recommend, for women especially, things that are those sexual, sensual types of movement, things that stick your chest out and make your butt look big and shake all of the things that shake on women. We really don't get a lot of opportunities to move that way, and sometimes it can be very freeing and very authentic to what our bodies are trying to release, right? um, okay, great. So another thing is types of exercise, right? So exercise is a type of movement. And as much as many of us love, love, love our classes and our trainers, um, we know that we are kind of drawn towards different types of exercises, right? And so I highly recommend that you take a moment to question and become aware of why you exercise slash move in the way that you do. Um, a lot of times people naturally find the things that their body is good at, and like those sports because they're good at them, right? Um, me, I have very terrible hand-eye coordination, so, ball sports didn't end up being where I fell in love. I played softball, I tried tennis, and that was just not where I really thrived. I swam and I danced and I did cheerleading, things that required lots of coordination, but no no third, it was just me and my body doing my thing. I didn't have to like catch a ball that was streaming at my face from someone else. um, so you kind of find what's good for you, but let's think about this. Some people are just beating themselves up like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. And if you love it, that's great. It doesn't even mean that that type of exercise isn't good for you. But you might find your stride, or you might feel that yes in your heart, or you might feel something that you're passionate about doing a different type of exercise. So, if you're somebody that has always been more into the stretchy, um, yoga style workouts that are lower impact, and then you try a weight training class and you just like love it, and it feels really awesome to you, or you're doing something like you're under chiropractic care, or you're meditating, or you're moving authentically, and you get the sense that maybe something solid and stabilizing is really what you feel you need rather than elongating and stretching, then you could try to do something that's a bit more on that stabilizing and a bit more hefty, and maybe makes you engage your muscles in a different way. and your body might just love it. So, finding the right kinds of movement as far as your exercise goes, people say, like, oh, I just hate working out. It's so hard to sustain. I just don't ever have the willpower or the energy. And a lot of times I'm like, well, you just haven't found your thing that makes your body click in and feel like you're in the flow and feel strong. You're not in partnership with your body when you're doing that type of exercise, right? Like we've all probably done more walking just through a city while we were on a trip somewhere than we would ever set out to just walk on our own, because we were enjoying ourselves. We were distracted. We were going from place to place. We were um, we were in the flow of that, right? So finding those kinds of things, checking in on what kinds of movement are you putting your body through, and then why? What was the reason that you started doing that? Was it because somebody that you saw who has a completely different body and system than you really liked working out in that way? Or did you learn about a workout that a friend was doing and you were just drawn to it for some reason? And you were like, yeah, I think I need some of that in my life. And so you were brave enough to explore that new type of movement, and then it felt really, really good to you. So notice your whys of where you're coming from when it comes to the ways that you're moving. And in the simplest, so we talked about just basic stretching, we talked about dancing and moving ourselves in a sensual way. We talked about types of exercise, and then just in a really simple example, I get the question of posture all the time, right? Our posture definitely affects our health and our mind body state, and we're going to do a whole video on how assuming different postures creates different emotional states in our body. Maybe we'll do that one next week. I haven't decided. But I'll just give you a little tantalizing teaser right here that even just posture, if you sit in a way if you let yourself kind of rocking back and forth and find a neutral space that feels comfortable, where you're on your sit bones. I haven't really, anytime I ask someone to just sit peacefully, calmly, breathing in, thinking listening into their core, listening into their body, having honor for their structure, and holding their head high. I have never had anybody be in a posture that was so atrocious that I was like, no, 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 you can't sit like that. I mean, that's a lie. I have. And then throughout their adjustments, they get a little bit better proprioception, right? They get a little bit more aware of where they are in space. But ultimately, we know that this posture of like open and tall and decompressed is what feels really good to us. And so it's not this fight to consciously use your educated mind to know all of the ergonomics of how to sit properly. It's like, stop thinking about it. Stop. I'm like wiping away the educated part of my brain. And honestly, sit in a way that feels good, not convenient, not what you're used to, but really good. That feels yesy in that yesy spot of your of your wherever you feel your yes. And a lot of times that feels like open and tall and elongated and ready and engaged. And that is what you can look forward to maintaining, because when it feels natural and you allow yourself to just let your body do what it wants to from within, you take the thought out of it, you take the rules out of it, and it's a lot more sustainable that way. So I like all of my videos. I just hope that this gave you a chance to become aware of something else within your body and mind. I really hope you take the opportunities to do some of the exercises, practicing the yes and no, and how that feels to you, practicing some funky dancing in your private space and moving your body in ways that you maybe haven't in the past, and then thinking about why you work out or exercise or move in the ways that you do. And was it just because you were parroting somebody else, or was there something that kind of drew you to that type of movement, something that you love about it, something that feels yes to you, and then, that you're on the right track with moving well. If it's something that you love and something that feels yes to you, you're probably not one of those people that hates having to work out and dreads the idea of it, right? If you are one of those people, this is a great opportunity for you to think onto why you're doing the exercise you're doing and try something else. We have an amazing opportunity that so many different types of classes have moved online, and so there's almost no excuse to not try something else as far as the way you move. And we were introduced to our sixth sense, which is proprioception, where we are in space. So you can take a note of when you reach for something and you know exactly how far to extend your arm in order to get it. You can thank your proprioception and your nervous system. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at Dr. Ev Mosley DC page. I don't know. I put it in the comment at the beginning of the video, and we will be talking next week. I have decided, because it's a perfect gateway into how different postures and how we hold ourselves can help alter our mind state, and we can use our bodies to help us sort of rewire a moment if we're in a moment of high emotion or high feeling. We can make it so that our body posture doesn't match that feeling, and we can change how we feel. Pretty cool. All right, you guys, I hope that you are all staying well and that you will reach out if you have any questions, comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember that we will get through this. Okay, take care. Bye.